everyone, my name's Ben. I run a small little website called layerwp.com. That's layerwp.com. Check it out. Yeah, not yet though, until I finish building it properly, because I'm doing a rebuild. Which leads me on to the other thing. I've encountered a couple of issues, not anybody's fault, probably mine more so than anybody else's. But it's to do with a couple of different issues, or a couple of different things. Basically, I wanted to create a form that would allow people to choose a blog post to sponsor. Okay, so the idea being is that somebody sees a graphic at the top, which I'll show you in the next section, and when they click on that, they'll go to a page to learn more about sponsoring a blog post with a contact form. There's a couple of things that I've noticed that kind of screw things up for me. Again, it's not the products, it's probably my inability to do stuff, because I'm not a coder. I'd be lying if I said I was. Anyway, next up will be the section where I talk about what I did, which would be nice. Anyway, see you in a second. Hopefully, if I get through this. Okay, so this is the blog section. Now I'm using Cadence Blocks Pro, Cadence Theme Pro, and that sort of stuff. So I'm using a couple of other plugins as well. Now, one of the things I wanted to do is a way to try and generate some revenue to help me cover the cost of running this, and pay gas bills, electricity bills. We've all got bills to pay, right? Okay, so one of the ideas, I actually had this idea quite a while ago and it worked. I did it probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and I did it, and I did get a couple of sales out of it, but I want to do it in anger now. So I thought I'd share with you what I'm doing. So if we go on to a blog post, anyone, let's click on this one, and the first thing that you'll see is this section here. Sponsor this ad, with a slightly cheesy call to action, but still, granted, it works. Now this is interesting because I could have gone through each and every single blog post trying to add this block in. Now this is where it gets really interesting and super cool. So obviously we can see that it's not going anywhere, it's in your face, and if inquiring businesses can click that button, go to the dedicated page. Okay, but how do you insert that into every single blog post? And what if you need to hide it? Well, this is where it gets a bit interesting. So if we go to I believe if we go to appearance, if we go to appearance and we click on elements, you'll see a load of elements that I've I've created. Okay, so I've created one that's dedicated to the sponsor slot, so I'm just going to click on edit so I can show you how it works. So once it's loaded, now I've called this a sponsor slot, and I've used Cadence Blocks to design the layout, so you can see that it's got background, we've got an image there and that sort of stuff, and we've got a call to action button there which leads to the page. Now this is what's really cool. So if we go to I believe this is one, yeah, this middle section here, which is element settings. Element settings deal with where you actually want to display this piece of content. Now I've told it to display before the first heading tag, so it'll be the first header in a blog post. Really simple. Or you could choose a load of different options. There's loads to choose. I'm going to stick with that for the time being, and we can put display settings. So I want to show it on all single posts, or I could select it by group, by author, or individually. I can also choose exclude settings. So let's just say I've sold a slot on a particular blog post. So then what I could do is I could go to here and I could choose I believe it's single posts, and I can choose individually, and then I can click this button and I can choose the blog posts I don't want that section to show on. Great. So I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm not going to save it because it's done. That's it. So this is basically inserted this section on every single blog post on my website, and this took me probably about 15 minutes to make. But the thing is, what it's done is it's put it on 60 odd blog posts all in one foul swoop, which is fantastic. So we've got this. Next up, I want to share with you the way to actually process the form. Well, create a form, allow people to choose and all that sort of stuff. So I'll be back in a second. 3 seconds probably. I don't know if I can find where to switch this off. Oh, sweet Jesus, it's not easy, is it? Oh, there we go. Okay, so you've seen this page before. You know, I'm going over old ground, but we're going to click on this button. Now this button's going to link to our page where people can actually purchase advertising slots, that sort of stuff. So it's just a quick mock-up sort of page I've built at the moment. So again, it's using Kadence theme, Kadence blocks, that sort of stuff. And I'm actually using Fluent Forms. So if somebody clicks on that button, hopefully they will, fingers crossed, they'll come to the sponsor a post page. Now I've got some information about, I don't know why I'm pointing at the screen, because I can just do this instead, sorry. So we've got some sponsorship info, and we've got some rules, and and I've made this, this section sticky, so if people are reading the rules, the form's never too far away from them, so they can actually act on the information. Now this is the thing, actually, I'm going to show you very quickly. If we go to, this is the page, and I built again using Kadence Blocks Pro and Kadence Theme. Oh, sorry, I'm not being paid for this, by the way. I'm just mentioning what tools I'm using. One of the things is, which is really cool, is I wanted to make this sticky like I showed you a second ago. So all we've got to do is click on that particular row. If you click on Advanced and go to, I believe, I'm going to move myself out of the way there, sorry, getting away, don't I? If we click on that, and I believe, here we go. We've got structure settings and we've got sticky settings. So I'm going to make this sticky. So if you click this box, it'll make it sticky. Now you need to add some offset. So offset's basically the space between the top of the screen, the very top, when you scroll down a page. So by adding 10 pixels, it just gives it a little bit of space to breathe. So if you look here, if I scroll down, you see that little minimal gap there? Just separates things from the actual top, which is great. Save that, brilliant. So that's the actual page. This is the form, which is using Fluent Forms, which is really good. Check it out if you can. I'll put links in the bottom of the video, that sort of stuff. This video was actually going to go on Twitter, but it's turning into a little bit of a longer thing, so apologies. Anyway, next up, I'm going to show you the form. I'm not going to go into massive amounts of details. I'm just going to show you a couple of instances where I fix things and that sort of stuff. Okay, so I'll see you in a second. Stop. Okay, welcome back. So this is the point where it gets interesting. Now for me personally, I had a couple of issues, and again, it's nothing to do with the products at all, not any of them, but I did come across a problem that was a problem for me. So I created a form. Again, like I said a moment ago, this is I'm not going to go into too much detail, purely because this video will be about 4 hours long. And again, that's nothing to do with the products, it's just explaining every single section. So what I've done is, don't worry about that, I do actually have a license for this. This is on a staging site for the record, just to clarify. Right, so what I've done is I've created a multi-step form. And by multi-step forms, you'll see, well, move that out of the way, you'll see if I go to my page, which I believe was this one, yes, this one. So you'll see it's multi-step, so you've got this bar here, right? So it's like 33%, another section, boom. Now the styling's not exactly the same as my website, but that's something I can choose change later on as well. So this is the form, and what I've done is you've got the first name, last name, email address. I've made the first name a required field simply by clicking on first name and marking it as required. Email address is required, obviously, and here, I'm going to move me out of the way. Here, what I've done is I've used a dynamic name, a dynamic code. So what this code does, it will take the name of the person. So it'll say, hi John, next up, let's add a title, some ad copy, a link and an image. Oh yes, don't forget to choose the post to sponsor, which is the issue I had. So, okay, as we scroll down, title of the advert, advertising copy, I've put this as no more than 60 characters because I don't want people putting war and peace in there. So in the advanced options, I've set the max text length to 60. Brilliant. Now this is where it got interesting. URL to the product, rah, rah, rah. This is where it got interesting for me. It's super difficult to understand a lot of this stuff. Now, oh god, I went through so many different ways of doing things. I can't tell you the amount of ways I went through things. But I basically wanted the people to be able to choose from a drop down which post they want to sponsor. But how do you do that? You got 60, 70 posts or 100 posts, or you know, however many you've got. Thankfully, I was using advanced custom fields. So what I've done, I'm quite proud of myself actually. If we go to, I've created a field group, and in ACF, I'll just show you it now. So if we go to sponsor, what I've done is I've created a checkbox, as you can see here. Move me out of the way. God, I get in the way, don't I? So we've got a checkbox, and we've got a field label available for sponsorship, which outputs a lovely little underlined bit of code, so you can call that back in. And the choice is yes, no. Cool, brilliant. And I've applied it to all post types that are a post, so blog posts. Okay, so that's that done. My issue was, how do you call in posts that you've deemed sponsorshipable? Right, so I'm going to open this in a new window. Okay, this extra query parameter from Fluent Forms deals with calling in certain functionality based on criteria that you designate. Okay, right, I know about as much about code as my mum does, which is very little, and I went through all of this, and this is no slight on them at all, because I think anybody looking at this who's got an ounce of savvy or a modicum of intellect will look at all this and think, you idiot, it's so simple. It wasn't for me. Right, so taking all this into account, I've done some Googling. I come across a Reddit post where somebody said they couldn't get it to work, rah 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 this, and I do use rah 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 a lot, I do apologise. I kind of weirdly, I don't know how I did it, but I managed to figure it out. Yay, happy days, right? So what I did was I looked at the parameters. I used the references here. I did a lot of digging around, a little bit of research, a lot of research, I'm lying, and I could never get it to work. Simple terms, basically, if you were looking to show from a drop-down list a list of posts to sponsor, what you have to do, well, I'm using ACF obviously. What I did was I only want to show posts available for sponsorship. Okay, so if we go into a blog post, I'm just going to go up here, I'm going to put lists in a new window, and let's say this article here, we want to make that available for sponsorship. So obviously bearing in mind that we used elements, so all this here might look like gobbledygook, but remember the cadence element is inserting the advert before the post. So what I did was, if I scroll down, using ACF, I created, if I scroll down, you'll see here, this is added a new field, and what I've done is available for sponsorship, yes or no. Okay, so yes, it's available for sponsorship, I'd update. Now, this is the cool part. Using the information that I've got here, moving me out of the way again, I'm so sorry. I have basically said, if the meta key available for sponsorship from our advanced custom field and the value equals yes, then you'll have some posts to choose from. Okay, so let's test it out. So let's go in here, go to the next section, and we've got the name, which is dynamic, obviously, because it's picked it up from the previous section. Add a title, rah 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 rah. So we'll type in some stuff there, type in some stuff there, choose a file, and I'm going to use that. Open, add a URL, choose this post you'd like to sponsor. So there we go. Those two posts, I've activated the yes section for available for sponsorship. Now, that sounds like it's all cool and it's great, and you know, we can go through the whole process and say, right, I want to choose this post. I'm going to go to next, and again, we've got a dynamic name, Ben Townsend, rah rah rah. Choose your ad subscription, so you want to go monthly, and it'll be $19 a month, or we can go yearly, and it'll be $190 a year. So you save 2 months on that. Now, if we go back, the issue I had was this. Oh, that was fun. So basically what was happening, I'll show you. Actually, it'd be easier, wouldn't it? If I click on the customizer, you'll have to forgive me, I might have to go back and forth a little bit. I'm going to move this out of the way. Again, apologies. And I go to additional CSS. I'm going to wait for this to load. Okay, so if we go in, go through the usual thing, rah 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 rah. This field, select the post you want to sponsor. This was huge. All right, so if I get rid of this code, you'll have to forgive me if it looks a bit weird. You see how it immediately changed? So usual crap. Choose a file. Yeah. Open. Yeah. Select. See how big this is? Look at that. The size of that is massive. It's huge. I don't like that. Nobody likes that. So a way to combat that was, and if we go back to the form, what I did was, if you scroll down to the element, or sorry, yeah, I suppose it's the best way to put it, element, and we move to advanced options, what I've done is I've given the element a class, element class of the words little. I know I'm not very creative in that respect, but this is the class for the field, so it'll be used to style the current element. So if we go back to our customize, and what I did was I used some CSS. I'm going to just cut and paste this, and I've said I'm going to call the element class of little and the font size of 16 pixels. So immediately you'll see that's rectified it. So that's how I got around it, and that's how I got around other stuff as well. So This is an off-the-cuff video. Apologies, I'm right in the middle somewhere. Oh look, I'm there. I just thought I'd share with you this because I think you know, if you're having issues and you're wondering how to do things, then it could be beneficial to you if you're using Fluent Forms. And you know what, even if you're not using Cadence blocks or anything like that, how to do it with advanced custom fields, and Fluent Forms together. So there you go. Like I said, it wasn't too much detail, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. And don't forget to, oh god, it sounds stupid, doesn't it? Like and subscribe, because without subscribers I'd be nothing. Yeah, anyway, there you go. So this is a really long section, but I did it. I got through it. Anyway, stay tuned for other tips and tutorials. As I come across things, I'll do my level best to share them, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Take care.